Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back this week with your Survivor News covering season 46, the season finale, episode 12. We are so excited to be here. We're back joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Atkins. How are you?
Doing what a week. I mean, it was a wild finale, and I'm ready to get into it because I got a lot of thoughts, Brice, and I don't know how they're gonna come out, but I might be throwing. I don't know what to say. So I'm excited to talk about it though.
Yes, it's dying to hear your thoughts. Of course, we have contestant on season 1 of Amazon Prime, the GOAT winner of Ghost Island, Wendell, back from New York. How are you?
I am good. It's good to be here.
Yes. Anything you want to say about the BWP finale in New York?
I'd say we had a crazy, awesome week. Things were very successful. Lots of fans came out. Lots of reality came out. The venues, it was great to see people from across the world and connect with people. So great week.
Yes, it definitely was amazing. Shout out to everyone that came, all the survivors, Quebec, Australia, Brazil, the Circle, Squid Game, so many people. It was buddy games,
everything. It was
shows that haven't even been created. The winners were there with so many people in the building. But we have so much to get to. So I think we need to jump right into this episode, Jack.
Yeah, I don't know. In the words of one of the best to never win, Liz Wilcox, I'm pissed. I'm gonna say it. If you've been listening,
man.
I'm Team Charlie, and look, the game played out how it played out, and I think. Here's the thing, Kenzie played a great game, so it hurts me that my frustration about other things. It feels like, because I got nothing against Kenzie. She deserved a win. But I'm frustrated. I have frustrations towards Maria. I have some frustrations towards Liz. And I'm overall just frustrated that my guy Charlie, I feel like he was – now, I agree with the sentiment that the jury always, picks the winner, and it's in the context, it's the correct choice, right? But ultimately, I think maybe sometimes the jury just has some people that aren't thinking straight. So that's kind of where my head's at. And not to say that some of the people that voted for Kenzie weren't thinking straight. I totally see why a Tiffany voted for Kenzie. I see why a Venus voted for Kenzie. But to me, ultimately, I don't understand how Maria does not vote for Charlie to win, which would have tied it, and presumably Ben would have voted for him to win. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
People aren't allowed to change their minds?
At what point, though? Like in Survivor, no.
No?
The vote's already been cast.
When presented with an argument that speaks to them, they're not allowed to change their mind.
But
a speech to the jury, isn't that intended to plead your case to sway votes?
But then to say that
or should we just not have speeches and just vote without them seeing anything?
But here's the thing. I can respect that sometimes jurors can be bitter, right? That's part of the game. It's a social game. But for all intents and purposes that we know, Charlie played a great soul. People like Charlie. And Maria's justification as to why she voted for Kenzie, she saw the fire in Kenzie's eyes. I mean, it took them like an hour to make fire. So it's like, how do you basically, my thing is, Maria played a great game up until the end where she stumbled a little bit, but she played that game with Charlie. And so for me, when it's your number one ally who played a game very similar to you, you should be championing their game, because that reflects better on your game, right? Like, Wendell, if you went out, I know you would have been riding for Dom because you guys played the game together and your games were very similar. So to me, it doesn't make any – especially when Charlie didn't even take a shot at her until after she betrayed him. how do you? And you're telling people that like Charlie is going to be like an uncle to your kids, and then he doesn't even switch up on you. How do you not vote for him? It doesn't make any sense.
Are people not human? Do
I give
people
people
not?
permission to change their minds.
Yeah.
Jack, like you said, comparing it to me and Dom, I would have voted for Dom. But I think any human being with a brain has the permission to change their minds. In Maria's case, I just rewatched on the drive home from New York, and she said two things. She said she saw the fire in the fight in Kenzie's eyes, and then she also heard Kenzie's speech. And if you think about Maria's story and you think about Kenzie's story, Kenzie's been working very hard for a lot of other people. And even with her entrepreneurship story, how the chairs in her salon, she doesn't make a dime off of them. Like, she is a giver. And Maria's story with her 3 kids and putting things to the side for her family. This is the story. This is my mother's story. Like, the sacrifices she made for me and my sisters. I get it. And for that story of Kenzie's to resonate with Maria, I totally understand how she can change her mind because she was hit right here. Now, the only thing I'll say is I understand a domino end scenario. We go so far. If I saw my man sitting at the end right now, I would say I would have voted for him. But I love Charlie. I think Charlie played the best game of the people sitting at the end. But I give Maria permission to change her mind, as did, I think, 4 or 5 jurors at the end.
I think this is the difference in this new era, right? Where it's like we have these Survivor players that know every analytical, know every move, know everything. But Survivor isn't just Survivor. It's emotions. People are human. I think that on paper, Charlie killed it. And I want justice for Charlie. But at the same time, I feel like at the end, Kenzie delivered with her speech. She delivered so much that it swayed Maria. Whether people believe it or like whatever they saying about Maria, like it swayed her. And I think that is what is missing sometimes in this new era, or with all of these people online. It's like, oh, I would never done that. I would never done that. You don't know until you're out there and your emotions are there and you just got blindsided. And are we not allowed to have emotions? Can she not be pissed that she's not in the game?
And to add to that, there can be a level of bitterness. She can be a little bitter and a little salty that her man got to the end. She could be a little bitter. Couple that with this story really hitting home. You got my vote.
Okay. I mean, I hear you guys, and obviously emotions, of course, are a big factor. But my counterpoints are, I think when they asked who changed their minds, Maria didn't say that she changed her mind. It seemed like she came in wanting to vote for Kenzie. Also, and again, I hate to, like, it feels like I'm putting down Kenzie's win, and I'm not trying to do that because Kenzie and however voted for her, however it worked out, she has an undisputable like magnetism to her that like radiates off her, and I've never even like met her, but you could just tell that's why people are so drawn to her. But for me, it's just like I'm just kind of speechless because, and also again, maybe it's the cynic in me, and obviously not knowing these people, being out on the island, being on the jury. Like, everyone has their reasons for why they need $1 million, right? Unless you're if you're super rich, I get why you wouldn't want to vote for someone who's super rich, right? But Kenzie obviously has come from the struggle, but Ben struggled. I mean, and I feel like it happens a lot to younger contestants where people feel like they don't need the money, but it's like, if I'm out there, I want to have a family at some point. That money is going to help me or Charlie, whoever it may be, kickstart their lives and pay for law school. And which inevitably is going to help serve, people in the community who need, legal like oversight. And I get that Kenzie's story is great, but it does always bother me, not just in this season, when people are like, well, why do you need the money? It's like,
right.
It's not really your business. Like, it's not really your business. And what frustrated me ultimately was that I feel like, in my opinion, I think Charlie really played one of the strongest games of the new era, because I look at every inflection point of his decisions and I always think he made a great decision. And a lot of times, with like a Russell Hantz, it boils down to them not being liked. But I feel like people liked Charlie. So I'm like, if I'm in his shoes, I'm just so frustrated for him because it's like, what could you do differently after? Like,
Right. But that's the game of Survivor, Jack. Like, that's what I keep trying to tell people. And again, I am as equally mad with you. Like, I love Charlie. I think that Charlie played a great game. I think that he did everything right. But it's not always that. You can do
It's true.
everything right and it not work out in your favor. We just did a panel, a real talk panel on luck versus strategy.
It's
and if
true.
you weren't there, it was great. We kind of talked about a lot of these nuances. And I think that why I am so frustrated that Charlie didn't win is also the same reason why I actually love Survivor, right? You can't really quantify how to get to the end. You can't quantify people's emotions on the jury. And it's like you can play a great game, but ultimately it's like the jury. How do the people leave? And in the end, to quote James Jones says this a million times, it's not about how you got to the end, but it's about when you get to the end and can you tell the story? And respectfully speaking, right? And I love my Charlie, and I think Charlie, you could see him on the beach. He wrote all of his stuff out. I think for me watching as a fan, I wasn't there. It seemed like Kenzie was a little more emotional, a little more tapped into the heartstrings as to like, you know, and shout out to Dr. Charlie, because Charlie just graduated today with a doctorate in law.
Big week for Charlotte.
Right, huge. But you know, he came with the facts. Like he was like very like pointed. And sometimes like that might not resonate with everyone. So it's like it's so weird. So I understand it, but I also feel like why I am so frustrated like you, Jack, is also why I love Survivor, because you just never know.
Those are all very, very good points. I mean, that is what makes Survivor, and that's why you're right. Like in a way, the jury is never wrong. So I never like to say that so-and-so should have won, because the jurors are the jurors, and that's part of the luck of the game, is like the people you end up with. But I don't know. It's just, it's tough. You're absolutely right. But at the same time, I'm frustrated. And to your point, Kenzie not only played to the hearts, I think she also did a great job of playing to the egos on the jury. And for better or for worse, there were some egos on the jury. And that's how it is a lot of the time. People want to get their licks in at the end. But, you know, it's been a theme of the season the whole time, how messy and chaotic it is. And there's some wild personalities. So ultimately, I guess in the sense of like, you know, if the jurors are bitter and they're egotistical, part of winning the game is making them feel good about themselves, even if they don't necessarily deserve that.
If we're talking about the jury, can we talk about the jury for a second?
Please, yeah.
Two things. I loved how it seemed. I love the questioning of the jury. I love the direct, like them asking them direct questions. But is somebody going to tell Q that he is a jury member and not the final four? Kenzie kind of alluding to the fact that she had to work with Q and how flip-floppy he was at times. And then Q, as a jury member, was like, I ain't say that. I never said that. I was never voting for Ben. And then Tiffany was like,
he should have said a big mistake.
Right, big mistake, you were. And then they start getting it like if that wasn't Quintavious, I don't know what Quintavious was. And then also, who directed Quintavious to be the choir director of the final tribal? I love how he was like, thank you. Okay, Ben, your turn. Like, did Q tap in for Jeff? Like, I was just
Jeff, I got this.
Right. I was like, what is Q doing?
There was a lot of antics. I mean, there was the Q antics. There was the whole, you have 30 seconds, like you're done. I thought that was ridiculous, honestly.
But did Tiffany have a timer
in her head?
I think she was counting in the head, and then Soda was just say when. And I don't know, man. Now I get it. Like it is part of being on the jury, even in the non-real Survivor games that I've played with you guys. Sometimes you get to the end of the jury and you kind of want to get, you know, you could be a little bitter. That's the thing. I don't mind a little bitterness, but it just confuses me. If you're a little bitter, I feel like if you want to say that, then that's cool. But I think my frustration with Maria is that she comes up with all these weird ass answers trying to justify why she voted for Kenzie, when in reality I think really there was just some sort of bitterness, and it seems like she can't acknowledge that.
Well, I think I like, so let's talk about that, right? Because like I can understand the frustration of the the Swifties, the Charliers that are upset at Maria. Like I understand that. But is there also a world where everything that Maria is saying, it can be true? She could have been a little bitter. She could have wanted to vote for a woman to, like, I think in one of her interviews, she has said a part of her going out there was doing something selfish for herself. And I don't know if you've ever like said something or like been saying something in your spirit, and then you're sitting somewhere and you'll read it on a train or you'll hear it and it resonates with you. Like, I think all of those things can be true. But what I'm not going to do is stand for this Maria hate train that people are like mowing over her. She played a great game. She stuck by her decision, whether you like it or not. Like, that's her decision. She has to live with it. Like, I just don't like the dogpiling of social media, like trying to erase everything amazing that she has done in her decision. And if you don't like her decision, you could always apply to be on Survivor, make it 25 days, and get on the jury, and you can cast a vote.
A week ago, she was the front runner to win the game.
To some.
Some would say if Charlie would have capped her,
he might have had a better shot.
Okay,
Jack.
Look, I don't have any like.
Was she either the front runner a week ago, or if Charlie kept her, would she have had a better shot? Because you're like, oh, she wasn't the front runner.
Oh, so I guess a front runner in the sense of like within the game, maybe. But I thought as far as like the actual outcome of how things would work out, that she wasn't going to get to the end very often.
Well,
Correct.
Okay. But
obviously, if she got to the end, she probably wins. But I just don't. I think the way
you don't know though.
Well, I mean, sure, but that would be kind of going against the point that I'm.
We do know though. We do know if Liz got to the end. We do know.
I'm glad we're talking about this. That was insane. I mean, that was. I don't know what is.
I'm gonna help her out. Go ahead.
I just don't have any words. I'm like, it's like I don't like. How did she pass the psych evaluation? Basically,
I just want to know. You gotta. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Can you imagine Liz? Well, Liz in the final three being like, the only move I ever want. Like, this could have worked though. Hear me out. If Liz was in the final three and she stood on this, the only thing I wanted, the only thing I needed to do was get Q out, and I did it.
No.
That's not a game winning. That's not a game winning. But because you could have sat at the end, and may or may not,
I just don't like. And I guess maybe this might be the episode of all the episodes we've done where maybe I'm in my most hater mode. Honestly, but I'm just like, Liz seems like a nice lady, but it's just like. It's just delusional. Like, it's really delusional. And also, did you see she came out and said that she's not a millionaire, really? And that was all a lie, a strategic lie? It's like what?
Now, first of all, I know some wealthy people, and I know some wealthy people. I know some people that aren't wealthy.
You don't talk about how better you are.
They don't know. That's not always they don't always lead with it. So I was questioning it, but she kept saying it. I was questioning it, but as a strategy, if she did make it to the end and use that coupled with the whole Q thing, Brice.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I see the world where it sort of makes sense because a lot of times you're like, well, they don't need the money. We can bring them to the end. The problem is once people are thinking that way, right? If you actually are rich, if I'm on the jury and then somebody who's the whole game is like, I'm a millionaire, and then they're like, oh, by the way, I'm not actually a millionaire, I would just be like, you're full of it, like you're just lying, like what? Yeah. And that's the thing too, Wendell, is like even if that's her strategy, find me one person who likes to be told time and time again by someone else that they're a millionaire. That's annoying. That's just if I meet someone and like, yeah, I have a lot of money, I'm like. shut up. Like it's annoying. Like
Yeah.
like
Welcome
especially
to my
if that
world.
money is not going to help me out. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're a millionaire too, is Applebee's the spot? I mean,
Oh, well, listen, you like what you like, though, Jack. You like what you
no
like.
shade to Applebee's. I like Applebee's. Applebee's is in my top 4 favorite contestants from the finale. So,
So, since we're on Liz, let's talk about this Kenzie's
yes.
immunity challenge. First of all, shout out to Kenzie. I feel like 3 episodes ago, I was saying this to you guys that you can kind of have a small edit, but that last episode, a lot can change. I think like Kenzie winning that immunity definitely changed a lot of things. But like, let's talk about Liz helping
Crazy.
Kenzie.
Like
I would really love to know, Jack and Wendell, your thoughts on that. And one, Jack, because you are a Survivor Almanac, has that ever happened before? Like, I know people have helped people, but has someone like
not to that extent? I feel
okay,
like. Yeah.
how does that resonate in your spirit?
I'm not as mad as I think some people are, because it's one of those things. They say it's better to ask forgiveness than to ask permission. And I think Survivor production loves the gray area around rules sometimes, because if you just go do it, you know, it might not be the most kosher, but it's going to make for good TV. And that's exactly what happened. But I do think there will be some sort of rule change here, where ultimately I think you should have to literally stay in your lane. Like, she shouldn't be allowed to go into Kenzie's part of the challenge and grab things, because, you know, where's the line there? Like, if I ran into Maria's lane and blocked her from running, like, that's not like, they can't do that. So,
or she just helps her with the puzzle. Like, all right, we're just teaming up on this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like, for this one moment, it is kind of an iconic moment in a way, but that's obviously just something that we can't have going forward. It ruins the spirit of the game. And again, if I were Maria, now, if this happened to someone that I was rooting for a little bit more, I'd be more annoyed. But I do see Maria, ultimately, I think she had the most reason to be pissed about this. And I will say, in the moment, she handled it with a lot of class and a lot of grace. Because for me, you best believe, well, you know, I would probably have to hold something back. But in the moment, I'd be like I'll be talking a lot of smack. Like, you don't really, like, especially when they're like, Maria, you're so good, we had to team up against you. I'd be like, what? Like, what's that? What is that? It's so annoying.
Yeah,
but
that's not cool. I think it sets a bad precedent. I think we haven't seen something as egregious in the past before.
Yeah.
I think they should be ashamed of themselves, or at least Liz. And I think I think
Liz and feeling shame are not two things that go together.
I'm not going to make this a Liz bashing session, because I will have.
I'm gonna hold out.
I think that they might wait to make a rule on it, i.e., if, say, people really start doing this and teaming up and stuff like that. Like, 2 people could have ran the challenge in the same lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if it becomes something serious, I think they'll make a rule. In this case, I think they might just wait.
Yeah.
I did think it was a great, I feel like, has Survivor ever done this? Like, I love the fact that, like, the puzzle was you had to actually go. I loved that.
Both
the challenges were really, the Final 4 challenge was fun too.
I'm not gonna lie, my not that smart self would have been trying to figure out. I would have never ran back. I would have I would have been the plank.
You're like looking at the wood structure that they built, and you're like, "There's no host in this plank." Like,
I would have never thought to run back. So I do have to give thumbs up to Survivor for the innovation of this challenge. I loved it, and the fact that the plank was in the beginning. Like, you had to crawl back through that could have been anybody's game.
Yeah. And ultimately, I was just going to say, like, as frustrating as that cheating stuff was, at the same time, it was interesting. But I can't really knock it, because if I was in that spot, I might have tried to do the same thing, right? If there's someone you got to get out.
Is there a world, right, when Maria got back and, like, she said 34? Like, I wonder what would have happened if Maria just was like, okay, well, let me just listen to Liz then. Like, what if, because listen, I'm all like, and it's like you.
Maria was running back, like, right? So,
but she was up there, right? Like there was a world that she could have just waited. And when she said 34 or 35 and it didn't work, bitch, I would have been skirt. Like
that would have been dope. That would have been great TV. If she was like, all right, you going cheat for them? What's up? I'm right here with it.
Right.
I was also curious about the policy on guessing on, because when they guessed like 34 and it was wrong, they went and recounted it again. But I'm like, if you're in the ballpark, just
why
turn
not?
the knob. Yeah, just
what were there were 4 other.
Yeah, it was like the number of geckos on the puzzle, and then like the number of pieces in the puzzle, and then the number of holes in the plank.
But I mean, also, because we're not going to make this a Liz bashing, whatever. As somebody that's always a good friend and somebody that's like like I'm mad at a Liz pull, like, you know, there is a part of me that's like.
I'm not like you don't. That's the thing. If for $1 million, if there's someone I have to make lose the challenge, I might have done something similar. I don't know if I would have. I would feel bad about it. But I can't knock that specifically. And I like the initiative of like, I'm not gonna ask if I can do this. I'm just gonna go do it. And that's what I mean. I feel like Survivor production likes that sometimes. But there has to be a line of like, I do think ultimately the line should be like, you can't leave your lane and like interact with other people's challenge.
Or not even that. You can't. I feel like the rule could have been she could have helped, but she would have had to grab her plank. I don't feel like she should have been able to grab Kenzie's
exactly. That's the
plank.
thing. She would have had to stay in her lane and use her own one.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I agree with Brice.
Yeah. Survivor is all about not asking for permission. It's like, do it, create the game. You know, in Ghost Island, when we had the blindfold challenge where you have to lead your whole tribe through this obstacle course to the end with but first you got to send them out to find 3 bags of puzzle pieces. Then once they all have them back, you have to lead them to the end and do this puzzle. As a leader, you're not blindfolded, but everyone else is. And my stupid behind, they all came back with the bags, and then I led them all the way to the end, and I realized we only had 2 out of 3 bags. I saw online people. I ran back to get it myself. I was like, pew, and I got it myself. I left my tribe blindfolded. They didn't know what was going on, and I got it, and I came back. But I saw online people were like, nah, Wendell should have had to bring his whole tribe back. I'm not asking for that permission. Like, you do go and go and go in Survivor until they tell you to stop. That's the game. So,
especially, I'm sure in the heat of a challenge, they're looking at everybody, making sure the rules are being followed. But if you make a split-second decision when the whole challenge is progressing, I feel like they're not going to be like, whoa, like stop. You know,
depends, because they have been like, when people try to like break people's knees in like the physical challenges or stuff.
Well, yeah, of course.
But as far as Liz, I do want to say this about Liz. As viewers, she looked a little delulu. She looked a little like she really thought that it was cake. And we saw it like, yo, you're not there. Like that's not how we view it. What I will say is I question if ever, and I didn't hear the exit press, I question if everyone on the island, boots on the ground, thought that about her.
I heard after the fact, and it's from I saw something on Twitter. I think Q said, and now not maybe the most reliable narrator, but I was told that apparently. So this is a whole different thing, but that's why I answer your question is when they did like the shot of the jury all together on the beach, and Liz wasn't in that, and apparently I was thinking, maybe they did that before she got on the jury. But apparently she was there, but she just wasn't rocking with them because when she got to Ponderosa, I don't know if it was all of them or who said it. They told her that no one would have voted for her, and she was pissed. And and I mean, I also think you could judge. It's of course there's some editing magic to it, but when she was talking her talk, and the jury was like,
yeah,
Venus
was like
that was. That was a classic moment.
I'm gonna
Okay.
beat you all.
To my point, that's my issue though. And again, like this isn't
That
even
was
meant to
funny.
be like anything insulting, but it's and this is gonna. I'm gonna the phrasing of this video. For me, it's not a problem with the confidence. It's a problem with like the arrogance. And how I would differentiate that is confidence can be a very inward thing, right? You might not have your head wrapped around the game totally and think, hey, maybe I can win this thing. And you could be wrong. And that's, I think, completely reasonable. But it's the act of being like, I was going to beat all y'all. Like, you guys were done for. Like, that's just arrogant. Like, there's no justification of that. So for me, it's like, I don't feel that bad knocking it because that's just like bad behavior. Like, and that's the sort of thing that continues. And not that it's my place to be the one to fix it, but it's like if no one ever, if you're acting some type of way and no one ever hops on their podcast and it's like, that's whack, then you're not really ever going to know that you're being whack because that's just like undebatably weird. Like talking about your money that doesn't exist, like telling everyone you would have beat them. Like,
but
it's just weird.
Telling at you, our boy.
Yeah, for real. Like it's just like I don't know. I have nothing wrong if she's a little quirky and like this and that.
It's the mix up
how she's interacting with other people.
Now this might be a hot take. Now again, I'm gonna say this, and I had to adjust.
Is the whistle wet or is that
the whistle is getting wet? I had to adjust my attitude. I had to adjust my attitude before we podcast because I wanted to make sure we had a great podcast. Here's the thing, right? And I'm gonna just be honest. Liz rubbed me the wrong way, right? But I'll be honest. Quintavious rubbed me the wrong way the first couple of episodes too, and I learned to love Quintavious. There is a world where it's like I feel like my views don't align with Liz, but I think that she's great TV, right? Like, I love the fact that, like, she's overconfident, she's over, like, but I'm going to just hot take, I'm going to say it, and I don't care. I feel like the pin on the donkey for me was when she got voted out. Now, this nuance may go over some heads, but I felt like the God bless America comment for me was like, okay.
Oh, did you say something like that?
She said that when he was
snuffing her torch. And for me, I was like, clocked it. But
well, you know what? And I stopped talking politics.
I'm not talking politics. I'm just saying.
But I want to say, Brice, she is a unique individual because I got into her follows on Instagram, and although she doesn't follow any of us, and none of us follow her, she does follow President Obama. She just did a somewhat of a commercial, an ad or something on her Instagram, and she had a prominent sign behind her that said like "Stop White Silence." End white silence. And so I think there's more to Liz than we know.
I would love to see.
White, is that just like white people got to speak out?
No, it means
end white silence.
End white silence. When say something,
please be an ally.
Be an ally. Don't
just let stuff happen. The opposite. I was like, us white people don't need to be talking more, man. Like,
wait, I could be wrong. Yo. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I hope it's the other thing. But no, I'm with you. Not even
if it's not, this ain't gonna age well.
It depends. Was there a Trump 2024?
Oh, Jack!
Politics.
Okay, no, I don't. That's not for me.
But I just want to end with again. I thought Liz was great. Like I feel like because. Sometimes if people just see clips of this podcast, I feel like they think that we're shitting on Liz. We're not. The way that we show love to people is quite frankly, we clown them. And so I agree with a lot of Liz's stuff, but I have to say in a very Quintavious mindset, season 46 would not be season 46 without a Liz Wilcox.
Brice, to co-sign what you're saying, I can see a Quintavious every season. Cast them all the time. I will gladly watch Liz's on my screen every season.
I disagree.
Give me someone to laugh at, to disagree with, give me. I love a character like that.
Yes, but see, I don't even want to say this because it's just for me.
Come on, hot take, Jack.
There has to be like I love a kooky character, someone that you could laugh at a little bit. Sometimes you laugh with them, but at the end of the day, there has to be a level of I'm not like it's for me. Like if Liz Wilcox was on another season, I would not be happy. Like
I mean, we've seen not the same. Like
yes, I guess I get what you're saying.
Listen, like again, and I'm just saying, as kooky, and again, I'm not trying to defend Liz or nothing, you know, because I said what I said in my Nene Leakes voice. She got to the end. Like she got to final five, whether we agree with it.
Tribal Council got to the end. Like
I'm just saying, for somebody that's a third boot out, I'm not mad.
She didn't quite get to the end because her wrists don't work or something. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah, I didn't understand that because best believe my wrists work in our own code at all times. Okay, up, down, left, right.
Fire.
Okay. I'm milking a cow here, okay?
You built it with the wrong sticks.
Yeah.
Are we casting? Do we cast people with weak wrists that wouldn't be good at things? Like,
I mean, do we cast people that can't eat food? Like, it's the same question.
Was this like a huge? Like, there were many red flags, I would think, right? No?
I think that's what ultimately you guys are right. That's what brings the entertainment in its own right. It's a train wreck. I'm sure CBS knew that's kind of what they were gonna get.
This season was full of them.
Yes.
Banu?
No.
Like, Q was a beautiful Q was the best.
He was great.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to just point this out real quick. Right?
Train wreck isn't the right word for Q.
Train wreck isn't the right.
Yeah.
I will call Q a plane crash. But listen to me why I will call Q a plane crash.
We love you, Q. Friend
because
of
the plane has crashed. But he ejected and had a parachute. So the fall was graceful. I do want to just say this real quick, right?
He opened up his Q skirt. It doubles as a parachute.
Okay, now the Alliance of Six is in the plane that crashed, but
he left them.
But this is I was talking to one of the amazing supporters that was at the Brice and Wynn New York finale. And they said this to me, and it didn't resonate with me. The diversity initiative. It's been so impactful. We've got so many winners, but they specifically said to me how they could have saw Q on a previous season, but he wouldn't have got the same edit because of the diversity initiative. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he could have been like
Philip Shepard.
Right. Like, you know, and it's like, I didn't even think about it like that. And it's like just a testament again. Just want to shout out to Survivor, shout out to the casting, shout out to the producing, shout out to the editing. Because again, now let me just be clear. If Q had a gun, boom, he's shooting himself in the foot. Okay, like he shot himself in the foot a million times. But because we were able to see him as a full person, I think that makes all the difference. The same with Liz. I'm saying same with Liz. Because I could see her as the same person, to know she came from poverty, to know that I'm pissed. The Applebee's is because it's something she does with her. Like the fact that we just get these full stories of people, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, and helped by the 90 minutes as well. Just getting more time with people for the character to develop. I totally agree with you. It makes the characters more well-rounded thanks to the diversity initiative, like understanding the different backgrounds.
You mentioned Debbie. You might think Nora.
Right.
Post 40, we get Carolyn. And her edit, you know, she looked like she could have won the game.
Right.
So you know, I think they're doing a much better job at showing whole people as opposed to caricatures or one-dimensional people. Kudos to the editor.
Yes. And that's when we did the diversity initiative. Yes, it was Black survivors coming together, but it wasn't just for Black people to have it. It's for women, for minorities, for a better edit, for a better, like, so again,
Queer folks.
Yes.
And
Queer.
white silence. No, absolute silence.
Enough of that. I don't know what he was talking about.
I
Yeah,
think
out of context.
white should have been
Don't
silent.
clip that. Don't clip that. I'm gonna be applying for jobs and they're gonna pull that up and be like,
Get him.
"What you mean by
Also,
this?"
because we're just all over the place today. Can we talk about Ben?
Yes.
Again, being at our finale party, and
I'm conflicted. I'll tell you that first.
Okay.
Mm.
Well, let me say my piece, and you tell me what's conflicted for you. I also feel like justice for Ben, right? I feel like we saw so much of him in the beginning, and then his edit kind of went ghost. And so I was very, as a Ben Katzman fan, happy to see him win something and for them to tell his story about his night terrors, right? Like, I feel like that's something that he has been saying a lot in his cryptic posts, even though they're all been happy. Like, I feel like it's kind of like a beautiful nightmare where it's like something that happened that is so beautiful, but it's a nightmare, but you have to smile because it's so beautiful. I feel like he's been trying to tell us that. And I know he has a new album coming out, and Tears on the Beach is one of the songs that I know he performed in New York City. And I got to listen to the lyrics of it. And I just feel like I was happy that they were just able to like tell his story. I wish we got to see more of his story, because I feel like in the end, people were like, well, what did Ben do? Like Ben, in my opinion, from what I have saw, that man was out there literally surviving, right? Like, and as somebody that takes mental health very seriously, as somebody that works in the field, yeah, I don't think that we got enough of Ben, and I don't think the edit did him justice. I was glad that we got to this point, but I feel like there was just so much more going on with Ben. And despite everything that he was going through, I feel like he still was in the game. We didn't see it, and he made Final 3. So that's my take on Baby Boy Ben.
I love Ben. I think he was a victim of the winners edit. You know, like he was a casualty of their edit. But I'm glad that we got fun content of Ben early. We got like not fun. We got, you know, the night terrors and other things later. I think we were able to get a holistic picture of Ben. I think we're able to see the fun Ben, the Ben that does get emotional, the Ben that does wear his heart on his sleeve, the Ben that people love. So I thought we did see a lot of him, but you're the third place finalist that didn't get any votes. So again, this season is, I'd say, more so the Kenzie and Charlie, who's gonna, like, this season is to build up Kenzie and Charlie. And at the end, the votes showed that. So, of course, we know everything can't be shown, but I do think that Ben, I do think we saw quite a few sides of Ben.
Yeah, I love Ben. I don't have too much more to say to that. Like I do think he was in the mix strategically more than we saw. He wasn't masterminding things, but he never pretended to be. Like, he was always himself. He was always real, always rocking. And even just having met him a couple times, don't know him super well, but just always the best energy. Like, just a great, great guy. And anytime he was on screen, you just knew there was going to be some fun shenanigans going on. So I love Ben.
Yeah, I think that Tribal was interesting. I think that, like, clearly from this episode, we knew that he was like suffering, and I feel like the fun, like he ha ha Ben showed up instead of actually like, Ben, pretend you on stage and pretend you're playing a guitar, because again, shout out to James Jones. It's not about how you got there. It's about the story. It's about the guitar string that you can play to the audience.
Yeah.
So
I hate that this episode proved James Jones very right. And I remember clashing with them on that. And I think there's some validity to both of the arguments, although they're not mutually exclusive. But yeah, I think Kenzie winning really proved that's just the thing. It's just some people just have an energy or aura that they might not need to build a resume. They might just need to get to the end and be able to talk to the jury.
It's evolving. Survivor is evolving.
Yeah.
Survivor has evolved. The players have evolved. Like the criteria for a winner has evolved. Like there are things that you need to do to be a winner, but I think like we are witnessing the evolution of Survivor, right? Like where it's like,
I don't know if it's the best evolution though. Which is,
I mean, but
it's part of the game is the evolution. But
I don't think when primates when primates went from not having limbs to having limbs, like I don't think the primates that didn't have limbs, I don't think that they was like, well, that's.
I mean, they were definitely jealous of the opposable thumbs. Like,
well, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, sometimes when you are in it, watching it, you're not a big fan. But when you can open a banana.
I was about to say, but in that time though, the ones without the thumbs were definitely jealous. They were like, I need me some of those so I can open a banana.
But they've been opening bananas without them. Just you know what I'm like. So it's just like I feel like it's just the evolution of the game and the people and the dynamic people that they're casting.
You know what? Can I say something about that? I think they're opening up the market. I think there was once a time when a certain kind of player could do very well in the game, or like an alpha would be really good, or whatever it is, right? And I think that there are but so many of those people in the country. In US and Canada. I think right now they're like, all right, we're not going to cast a season full of whatever types. It's going to be all of the whatever you can grab, this crazy cross section. And now you know what this does? It opens up the market. Now every corner of this country and Canada and the world, they believe that they have a shot. Now somebody with wrist issues or somebody with, you know, they can get out here and make it to Final Four. So as I don't know, in a game called Survivor, you think that it's like the kill, like those alphas are on an island to kill each other, whatever. The game has evolved to where now it's a collection of people on an island to out strategize or whatever each other. So the game has evolved, and I think the evolution has has the ability to really widen the audience.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I got a little alarm. I think some police alarm. I think they're looking for Maria for robbing Charlie of $1 million bucks. But
No.
Yo, you know what?
Sorry, I had to. But
Maria is our person.
A question I wanted to ask, and it's more like a big picture, new era question, and it's something that I was thinking about because I'm thinking about why are all my guys losing finalists? So. I mean, I'm just thinking like
a bigger question to that, but
I'm just like
name all your guys, Jack.
Go ahead, name them. I
was gonna say, well, here's the thing.
Let's hear them. Can we hear them?
Xander, Austin, and Charlie for me were people that I was rooting for from the jump. People that I got to know, but the common theme between those people.
What's the common theme?
Okay, let's talk about it.
Like they're not even all the same race, so like you're all acting like
race is a social construct, Jack. But
just
we know the players you love, Jack.
I mean,
no gender.
Yeah, my God. But it's to be fair. Anyway, those are like the young guys that have made the final three and lost, and then like Jake O'Kane, but that wouldn't really change the demographic too much. I would like that to change. But anyway, but the common theme for me that I was sort of debating is having talked to these three guys about their gameplay. A lot of it early on we've seen is about mitigating their threat level. You know, athletic guys, smart young guys, where they come in and they know they can be perceived as threats. So I know that they all actively worked on lowering that threat level and positioning themselves like that. And of course, for Charlie, that was sort of the center point of his game. And I think they all played great games, but obviously they all get to the end and lose. So what I wanted to ask you guys is like, in the new era, lowering that threat level has been so important. But what's the point where you have to kind of like step up and maybe be the big dog in order to win at the end?
I have a lot of thoughts on that because one, your big three, I love them all. I love a Xander, I love a Austin, I love a Charlie.
Why is that?
Well, I love them.
Why you love them?
They are cool people. They also happen to be very attractive men. And I mean, if you want to have a deeper conversation, we can, because I think that this is something like really interesting because I think that they all are very similar in a lot of ways, right? And I think also how they present in society is very similar. I think that in the past, pre-33, we would be looking at winners, right? Like, I love a Xander. I think Xander played great. You could just say Austin and I get moist. I love Charlie, right? I think what this is showing me is that, like, in this new era, and I don't know if it's they need to do more, but it's like, I don't know, because I don't want to say it, but I just feel like I feel like, yeah, I won't say what I want to say.
I will say, because I don't think anything that you say about it is necessarily going to be a bad thing. It's more just like what you said.
Okay.
Back in old Survivor, these might all be winners. Now something has changed.
So okay,
not necessarily that anything's changed for. I think it's probably changed for the better.
Yes,
there's something that's different, and
I think people played better games than them in the case of the first two. And then when it comes to Charlie, I think Charlie had a real argument to win the game, and he was very, very close.
I agree. I also feel like Austin and Xander.
One thing to sprinkle on, for the same reason why Jack champions those players, that's the same reason why I champion a Q. I see myself in him. I'm glad he's out there, and I want to see him do very well. Okay, that's my stance, and that's why I think a lot of people from a lot of communities can like have many people to root for. But that's just another thing.
And then, thank you for that. But also, this is not to say that I think those guys all should have won their seasons. It's more about the question of threat level management, and I think they all did an excellent job at lowering their threat level. So for me, it's like, in order for them to have won, with that discussion of threat level, where do you think, for players playing going forward, and it doesn't have to be that demographic, more so just people looking to lower their threat.
Well,
where do you have to turn it around? How do you turn it earlier? Because there's something to be said about lowering your threat level so much that the jurors don't realize the depth of the game that you played.
Specifically for Austin and Xander, they needed a little Venus energy. Austin was too nice, too loyal. Xander was too nice, too loyal, too amazing, right? Like he didn't know me at that point in time, right? And yeah, they needed to. And I think that giving just the landscape of a lot of different things going on, it's just so much. But I specifically for Austin and Xander, right? Like, I think that they play great games. I feel like you're right. Like, they mitigated their threat level. They kind of like fell to the, play their game. But at some time, what Kendrick say? Sometimes you got to pop out. You got to pop out. You got to Liz Wilcox them. You got to Venus them. And I think that they, again, played this humble, attractive, talented, sexy, at the time, long hair, soft but hard hand game that won my heart. But I think because jury management and different things, their stories don't sound the same as someone else's story.
I think in Xander's case, he was goated. I think everyone knew. I think everyone knew he had an idol, and I think that his story was not going to resonate with that jury at that time. Period. When it comes to Austin, what was it, 4-6? I think that in his he played a game that was as close to win, because with one flip of a vote, that is 4-4, and Jake is the tie-breaking vote. I think that Austin was sitting next to someone that played a superior game. But in Austin's case, he was right there. He was right there. So,
But
like in Charlie's case, I think he was over the edge. I think he did play that superior game.
But yeah, again, I feel like I did misphrase it because I do champion them, but I don't necessarily think that they all should have won. It's more about they all had that similar pattern in their game of like lowering that target level. So it's more so like, what would you guys say to players? And it doesn't have to be in that demographic, but players going in who are like triple threats who want to lower their threat level. But like you said, Brice, when is that time to pop out and really make your mark on the game and still be in at the end to win?
Yo, Tony did it in Winners at War.
Yeah.
But also Game Changers lowered his threat level a lot. He walked into Winners at War so different. He was a different person, and he turned it on after that merge and went crazy. So, like, yes, it's Brice, I think, said it. You pop out and you turn it on at the right time. You show them who you are.
Yeah.
I think that would help.
I think sometimes we we feel like we have to play this humble game. We've got to be a humble winner. And
But that'll get Jesse voted out at 5.
Well,
you know,
it's such a delicate balance.
It's a dance.
You got to have your stars aligned, because when you pop out in this new era, as soon as you pop out, whether it's you making a big move, winning too many challenges, being too personable, being too whatever, they're going to snipe you.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance. It's, it's like a budding flower.
It is. And maybe that's the lesson as to why, like we said, Survivor's about a lot of luck. Is ultimately, if you're going to win in like a really strong fashion, you at some point do have to stick your neck out. And thinking about like a Jesse where he went out in fire making, and maybe there's always inevitably going to be that one moment where you have to like clutch up, and it just didn't happen. So maybe it's like, for the lesson, I guess, to answer my own question based on what you guys have said, is you do have to get after it a little bit more. And then at the end, you just clutch up with a challenge or two, because maybe there's not that perfect way to position yourself in the 3. And like, had Charlie won that Final 4 challenge, I mean, he might have been able to send Kenzie home and then win the whole thing. So really, it's that close, and it's that turn of events, I guess, those inflection points. But I don't know. It's an interesting, because like you said, when like the new era, especially, you make a big move, you're basically next. So it's like, how do you build that resume in a fun and exciting way, but also keep your head down enough to get there? It's just such a balance.
For me, it also like has to do with like not only jury management, right? Like, because again, I don't want to keep going back to a Quintavious, but I also think throwing a Quintavious into the mix, right? It does a lot in the sense of like, you're either for him or you're against him, and that alone kind of can like split jury votes, even though he's not the person that's there. Like, look at Maria. Like, Maria saw that as something to be like, okay, he's a vote. But then quickly after she starts working with a Quintavious, it's like they like, oh, they number 1, they number 2. I don't know. It's just something about a Q that I just love, because I feel like you either love him, you either hate him. But I also feel like a part of some of his energy kind of transcends to the jury.
Mm-hmm. That's it's an obvious statement, but the jury is always, it's just, that's another element of the luck in the game. It's just like the composition of the jury. Sometimes you're going to have people that are for you, and sometimes you're not, and sometimes there's not anything you can really do about that. But yeah, I think, so I have to go in a couple minutes, but I think the 2 closing things I'd love to discuss are, I guess, ultimately, how do we look at Kenzie's win? And then also maybe just a little bit about, we saw a teaser for Survivor 47, and I'm really excited for that.
Kenzie deserved her win. I'd say that. The juries decide who wins. The jurors decide who wins. They picked her. Maria had her reasons. I think Kenzie is a great winner. I think she has spunk. I think she, like, in her confessional, she talked her trash. I am happy for a Kenzie win.
Yeah.
I've always said, I don't, anybody that gets to the end and can get the votes, they've won. She had an uphill battle. She played a great game. Might not be some of the game that some of the Survivor, know-it-alls love, but listen, she got to the end and she got votes. And last time I checked, that's how you win Survivor. And so kudos to Kenzie. But again, I say every year, there's a winner of Survivor, and then there's the people's winner of Survivor. And so I just hope that Charlie keeps his head up and knows that the Survivor community loves, champions him. I think that he's amazing. I think that Dr. Maria is amazing. I think that we have so many great people. Ben is amazing. So I love this.
Yeah.
Can I get one quick line about Charlie?
Yeah.
The way he received information in the after show is so respectable and commendable, and the way he gave credit to
Kenzie
Charlie, we love you. Great job. I have so much respect for how you handled all.
Insanely, just like very gracious, like loss. And that's the thing. Ultimately, I mean, Kenzie had a stellar social game going into the finale. I really thought there was a good chance that maybe Charlie went out at like 4, and then Kenzie has a really, really, really well-earned, deserving victory. For me, I was shocked that Kenzie did win over Charlie, but that doesn't still take away from the fact that she also played a very solid game. To me, it wasn't at that same level, but it's still a solid game. Hopefully, now that Charlie's going to be a lawyer, he sees some better juries in his career.
Can I just talk real quick? The one thing that I loved about Charlie, because I feel like you don't hear this a lot in the new era. I loved how Charlie was like, listen, I've been out here 26 days. I'd like to get to the ends and not have to go through fire. Like, I don't know. I thought that was such a real thing to say. Like, listen, my resume speak alone. Like, I feel like so many times we get here and people are like, put me in the fire. I'm in the fire.
So, fire making is so dumb. I agree. I agree with the sentiment.
I'm just saying, in that moment, Charlie, I had to change my britches.
And I'm with you because he acknowledged like you play a really strong game. Why do you need to make fire? It's just a completely independent of any gameplay. It's just like, can you make fire? Now, I respect like if someone steps up and they know they have someone they need to take out of the game and they go and do it in fire and they choose to do that. That's part of the game. But it's just like, Kenzie beating Liz in fire. I heard it took like an hour. So it's like, that's not impressive. Like, that's not
my question is though, do you think if Charlie would have played fire, do you think that would have been the
possibly just because like perception wise, but obviously Maria credited some element of Kenzie making fire to but I really feel like, and I saw some people said this, if Charlie had made fire, I feel like Maria would have been like, well, I respect that Kenzie put herself in a position where she didn't have to make fire, something like that. But that's the thing,
Maria.
I know my opinion on fire is it's my own opinion. Sometimes the jury respects the fire making, and that's just part of the game. So you can't completely write it off as a factor. But anyways, I got about 2 minutes.
Well,
how was that trailer for?
The trailer was amazing. I loved it. I saw some faces that I recognized.
A lot.
I saw some faces that I seen at a Brice and Wendell finale last season. Couple of them, I saw some faces that I know I have spoke highly of. So I am very excited.
I think there might be 3, 4, there might be 5. There might be almost a whole tribe's worth of like BWP alums.
Let's go. That's big. That's really big. They got to just throw you guys in the casting department.
Okay. I want to be on the island like Sandra and Rob.
It was fun. That would be fun. It was funny during when it played at the finale party. Half the people got like big cheers. I was like, "Are they in the building?" Like, but I guess they have been in the building. So maybe that's what it was. But it looks. I did see someone with the beginning of the teaser when they kind of tease, I guess, sort of an artistic element to the season. I almost thought, and people said maybe there would be like, and it seems like there's not going to be a theme, but I was sort of hoping maybe there would be like a theme. I saw someone said maybe it was artists versus artisans or something like. I don't know. I kind of would love to have a theme again.
Let's give a shout out to Asia, to Andy, Rome, and I think there might be a couple more.
Are these people on the season?
Yes,
they are.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
and
we've seen them.
We see them. And let's just end this on. Let this be a reminder that you can send in a tape, you can get a call back, you could be waitlisted. Like, follow your dream. You never know when the time is going to come. Keep shooting your shot. Wendell sent in 137 videos.
Plus or minus.
And I mean, not to say that this isn't legal. This isn't legally binding. And it's not to say correlation implies causation, but it seems like if you go to a Brice and Wendell presents,
No, Jack.
We will not.
I'm obviously kidding, but
Jack,
I
Have
really,
a good season.
but
I do
when I
not
was
want to
to your
next.
point though, it's like the Brice and Wendell. That's when the fans really show out. And,
Yeah.
and obviously in the new era, they just love having big fans. So it's the right environment for just fun, big Survivor fans.
I can hear the next On Fire podcast now, Jack. Okay.
They, don't Adam Klein me. You know,
No. But no, I think there is some truth to that, what you're saying, Jack, in the sense of I feel like our parties look like actual seasons, the makeup, the diversity of the people, the age range. It's just a melting pot of amazingness. And so
it's the epitome of everything that we love about Survivor. But obviously, again, that was the actual no correlation. That was obviously a joke, but it is fun to see that people that are showing out are really showing out to Fiji now. So
yes.
But yeah, I gotta run. But
it's been a great season. We will see you in the fall, maybe sooner with some other. Go ahead.
Quick question. How do we rank 46 among the new era or overall?
How many of the eras do we have that we're including? So this is what?
41 through 46, let's say. How does it stack up for you?
Best of the new era for entertainment.
Okay.
Lower third in the new era for
gameplay.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go with that.
I would agree with that. For me, 46 and 45 are close, and they both, in their own right, have different things that I love about them. But yeah, undoubtedly 46 was wildly entertaining. Even though for me the finale wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it's not about me. So
well, there's always season 47 right around the corner, and we'll be back to cover that. This has been your Survivor News covering all of season 46. We appreciate you so much. We will see you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.